and stronger. You will have to change some things in your life. You will have to exercise discipline in your life. It will be hard. You will have some nights when you will be absolutely so afraid that you won't be able to sleep. You will have lots of problems. But if you are committed, you will learn from every problem. You will learn from every disappointment. Even your fears will make you stronger. I am the only problem I will ever have. And I am the only solution. I am the only problem I will ever have, and I am the solution. It doesn't take anybody else, just you. But when you say it's me, I'm the one, then you pull the power into you, and anything is possible.
Are we ready to climb up this mountain together? Please welcome to the stage our Big Daddy, the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer at Tunicity International, Mr. Stewart Hughes.
10,000 diamonds, I am one. I've long seen you Stewart Hughes. Well, it's good to be here. Are you ready to climb the mountain with me?
Yeah!
Well, I'm ready to climb it with you. We have work to do. Before I start, let me just say thank you to those leaders who have spoken to us this morning. Power, excitement, energy, and most of all, mindsets that will take you to success. I hope you learned from them, but mostly I hope you felt the power of their mindset. Everyone in this room can be so much more than they currently are. We know this in our minds, but we need to begin to believe it in our hearts. We need to have a vision of who we can be and a vision of what we can do. People have asked me over the last few years many times. They have said, Stewart, why are you still working? You are so old. Friends my age, they've retired. They say to me, why are you still working? You have so much money, you don't need any more money. Why are you working? So I want to answer that question for you today. Why am I still working? To do that, I need to introduce you to three of my heroes. I want you to meet James Lind. James Lind was a British Navy medical doctor. During the 1700s and before, nearly 70% of every ship's crew on a long voyage would die before the ship returned home. 70%. Nearly 3/4 of all the sailors would die on the voyage. They would die from a disease that produced these kinds of symptoms, and no one knew what caused it. James Lind, as a doctor, was on these ships, and he was puzzled. What is killing all the sailors? And in 1747, he conducted a study. And he discovered that lime juice, lemon juice, what we now know as simple vitamin C, would absolutely make the disease go away. 1747. That was written. And it took 50 years before the British Navy accepted his research and changed the protocols in the Navy. 50 years after that study. Let me introduce you to someone else, a hero of mine. This is Ignaz Semmelweis. In 1846, Ignaz Semmelweis was a young Hungarian doctor, brilliant doctor. In fact, he was so brilliant, he was able to be hired as a doctor in the #1 hospital in Europe, Vienna General Hospital. And there is this young Dr. Semmelweis serving in this world-renowned hospital as the assistant head of the maternity section of the hospital. He was responsible for all of the birthing that came into the hospital, all of the pregnant mothers who came to have their babies delivered in that world-class hospital. Dr. Semmelweis was responsible for them. And he noticed something that was strikingly tragic. In the hospital, there were two sections of the maternity part of the hospital. One section was run by midwives, women who had been trained to help other women give birth. The other section was run by the world-class medical doctors of Vienna General Hospital. And what Dr. Semmelweis was confused about was that the doctor section with these world-class doctors had 500% more death in their section than the midwives had in their section. 5 times more women would die under the care of the doctors than the ones under the care of the untrained midwives. He was puzzled. How could this be? How could this be? He looked at everything he could study, only pointed to one thing. There must be something on the hands of the doctors that wasn't on the hands of the midwives. And so he had all the doctors start washing their hands before they would serve these delivering patients. And immediately the numbers of the dying dropped down all the way to be equal to that midwife section. Overnight they dropped. But the doctors were angry about this. The doctors were upset. You think something on our hands is killing these women? That made them angry. It made them so angry that they rose up in a rebellion against Dr. Semmelweis, and they got him fired. He went back to Budapest, went to work in another hospital. Same problem. He gave the same solution. The doctors also got him fired from that hospital. Eventually, the young Dr. Semmelweis died a violent death, having been committed to an insane asylum because he had become so distraught that no one believed him. And thousands of young mothers were dying because no one believed him. It was many years later that Louis Pasteur developed and proved germ theory. My final hero. This beautiful young lady was born in 1689. Her name is Lady Mary Montagu. She was born into a wealthy family. Her father was a duke. She had everything. She had the best education. She lived in a literal mansion. She had the roam of the place. She could do what she wanted to do. She grew up smart and beautiful and full of personality. She became literally the belle of London society. In fact, in Thailand, we would call her the ultimate haiso. Around this time, a wildly infectious disease struck London. This disease would come every 2 or 3 years, and whoever got it, most of them would die. Thousands and thousands of people would die. They didn't know where it came from. They didn't know what caused it. They didn't know anything about how to treat it. And it came and it struck down her brother. And 2 years later, it came again. And this time, Mary got it. But she lived. She was one of the few that survived it. But she became horribly misfigured because, as you now know, I'm sure, that wildly infectious, tragic disease is what we now call smallpox. Her flawless skin became pockmarked. Her eyebrows were gone. Her eyes were flooded with redness and irritation for the rest of her life. She wore a veil from that time forward for the rest of her life. She had married already. She had a small son. Her husband had been given the assignment to be ambassador to a country we call Turkey now. They went to Istanbul together. Lady Mary, her husband, the ambassador, and their small son. You can imagine that Mary was very worried about this disease coming back and taking her son, taking her husband. And so she became very interested to find that in the country that she was now living, there was no sign of anyone suffering from this disease. All the women and all the men had beautiful skin. She was wondering, how does this happen? What's going on here that doesn't go on back in England? And so she wrote a letter after discovering, and in this letter she tells her friends about this unusual practice that's being done in Turkey. Inoculation. The concept was crazy. I think this may have been the first TikTok, the first social media post. And as she explained it, she found letters coming back to her from her friends in the UK saying, "You're crazy. That's stupid. No one's going to do that." But soon the smallpox came again. And she, in her fear of losing her son and her husband, went to get the inoculation done. But her husband refused because he didn't believe her either. But she secretly found one of the old ladies in Istanbul to do this treatment on her son. And he lived through the pandemic no problem. In 1721, she goes back to the UK. She's now got a daughter, an infant daughter. Smallpox sweeps through London again. She goes and finds a country doctor, and she walks him through the procedure for her daughter. And her daughter survives. Pretty soon, other people are starting to be interested in this. And she becomes an absolute voice preaching about this to anyone who will listen. But it is 70 years before the British public health accept her advice. And now, of course, smallpox has been completely eradicated in the world. Those are three heroes that I look to as I think about why I'm still working. Today in our world we have a disease that is causing more death, more tragedy, more handicap than all of those other diseases combined that I've spoken of. Heart disease, Alzheimer's, dementia, diabetes, high blood pressure, and all the other symptom diseases of what we call metabolic syndrome or metabolic dysfunction. And people say, well, the pharmaceutical companies will find a solution. No, they won't. They don't even want to. When you allow your health to be driven by pharmaceutical companies, you will never become healthy. For the same reason that nobody believed James Lynn, nobody believed Ignaz Semmelweis, and nobody believed Mary Montagu. The status quo is always the power to remain as we were. But we have an opportunity. We have a duty. We have a mission. And I have a vision that we are going to eradicate diabetes from our planet.
There is no reason why we can't do it. We have a protocol that has literally reversed diabetes in thousands and thousands and thousands of people around this world. And the fact that others don't believe us just means we are with good company. Because they didn't believe Mary, and they didn't believe Ignaz, and they didn't believe James Lynn either. So you remember that you have a mission to do good, to change the world, to be more than just someone chasing money. You want to be someone who actually makes a difference in this world. That's why I'm still doing this. Right now, we are in the middle of Gandhi's formula. You know what Gandhi said? First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. Right now, they're ignoring us. Oh, we have a lot of people here today. We have tens of thousands more who are around the world. Yes, we're making a little difference. Yes, we're making a little impact, but it's going to grow. It's going to grow. And soon, they will begin to mock us and to laugh at us. That will mean that we're making progress. For some of you, it might be hard. You might be tempted to quit because you don't like people to laugh at you. You don't like people to mock you. My attitude is, bring it on. Bring it on. Laugh at me, mock me, because it means I'm winning. And as we get bigger, they will begin to fight us. We will begin to have different agencies and experts come out and say, oh, that doesn't work, that doesn't work, how could that work? Even while it's working and working and working. What will you do when they start to fight you? What will you do when the experts start to fight you? Will you quit? Will you give up? No, because you're winning. You're winning. And as they're fighting you, it shows that they're afraid of the truth. Now we have to redouble our efforts. We have to get very, very intense about this. We can't worry about what those people think or what those people think. It doesn't matter what they think. All that matters is who we save. When people say to me, oh, I don't want to do this. I say, I'm trying to save your life.
Yes.
I'm trying to save your life. Let's get their attention. 75% of the people in North America are overweight or obese. They have metabolic dysfunction. They probably have diabetes. They probably have heart disease. They're probably going to have Alzheimer's or dementia very soon, if not already. We're trying to save your life. People in Japan are tracking North America's numbers. People in Korea are tracking North America's numbers. Europe is even with North America's numbers. The Middle East is actually ahead of North America's numbers. What will you do? What will you do? That's the question. Will you be weak? Will you be shy? Will you be someone that says, "Oh, I don't want to be rocking the boat. I don't want to have anybody think that I'm doing anything crazy"? Or will you be strong? I'm trying to save your life. When you leave this event this weekend, I hope you leave with one deep, burning desire that you are going to be someone who makes a difference in this world. Yes, you will make a lot of money. Yes, you will have a wonderful life. Yes, you'll do all kinds of wonderful things. It'll be fantastic. But none of that matters more than changing the world will matter. When you're on your deathbed, when you are at the point of death, will you care about the money? Will you care about jets and vacations? No, you will care about whether you change the world. That's what you will care about.
Yes.
So, think about that question. Think about what you're going to do about that question. But for me, I know what I'm doing. I'm here. I'm going to work. I'm going to hit it as hard as I can hit it. I'm going to get up early. I'm going to stay up late. I'm going to travel, and work because I'm trying to save your life. Thank you.